How many hand grenades you threw? He said 2 or 3. I was like, fuck. You heard what's happened? I was like, no. Surely you wouldn't just walk out the house and just shoot him. Fucking throw a hand grenade on him. He lost a lot of respect, the little bit he did have. No words can describe that act, and no words can sort of explain why I'd do something like that. I met Dale Cregan through a friend of mine called Lee Kelly. He got noticed because he was making money, he was doing well. Went to Thailand, got stabbed in his eye, and it was that period of time that I spent a bit of time with him. Tried to give him some advice so he could go and hand himself in, and he weren't having it. Always had a point to prove. Well, I met Dale Cregan through a friend of mine called Lee Kelly, who was a business associate to a guy called Dave Campbell, 2009 to 2012. Dale Cregan was Lee Kelly's sort of younger generation of individual. Done a lot of running around for the older lot. Done a lot of negative stuff for the older lot. Sold a lot of drugs for the older lot. He came on my radar in 2010 as just a young distributor from someone I was working with. He had a little firm that moved quite a considerable amount of graft. He moved up the ladder relatively smoothly because he was making money. He got noticed because he was making money, he was doing well, and then he went Thailand. Got stabbed in his eye. He lost his eye and came back. And it was that period of time that I spent a bit of time with him because he wanted to meet me and then talk about how I felt and how I dealt with losing my eye. And that sort of built the relationship up from what it was to where it went to. So basically, I was just giving him a little bit of moral support and spiritual advice on how to deal with not having an eye. We formed a decent relationship and he was a lovely kid. We could see he was kind of spoilt, a little bit troubled. He had some issues himself. I never got too deep into knowing him as an individual. He was an all right kid, very sort of egotistical, always had a point to prove. I see him sporadically throughout the weeks and months when I visited England, doing business with all sorts of people. He was always in the background, always holding on to Lee Kelly shoelaces, apron strings, trying to develop himself in the criminal world. Me and Lee drifted apart a little bit after my shooting. We come back together because Dave Campbell offered Lee Kelly £150,000 to assassinate me. Obviously, Lee's rang me up and let me know. And then basically when we went to stick it on Dave, he got removed from the hospital by soccer and brought back to England. And then he was put under protection for God knows how long. That was when me, Dave and Lee sort of split because obviously I've got mad trust issues. So obviously Dave owed me 1.6 million quid. I met Lee through Dave. I met Dale through Dave. So anything to do with Dave, Dale and Lee was a no-no for me at that stage in my life. So I sort of distanced myself from them. I go to Liverpool, I've got family in Liverpool. And one day, one of my younger cousins took Jermaine Ward to my family's house in Liverpool. Well, he never talked to the family's house. He talked to a friend of the family's house who sold a bit of weed. So basically, one day I'm sitting in my cousin Tony's house and his phone goes. So then he was like, what? So he put it on loudspeaker. He was like, there's a lad at the door, lad, looking for that Marvin. Like, what shall I tell him, lad? So I said to him, ask him who it is. So he said, who is it? He said, Jermaine. So I thought, wow, what the fuck's Jermaine doing here? Do you know what I mean? Like, he's part of the other firm. Like, he shouldn't be here. How does he know where he lives? So I'm thinking, how the fuck does he know where our kid lives, right? So I said to my cousin, I've got to go and deal with this. They're here to iron me out. They've got to be firm-handed, so I've got to deal with it. So he's like, what are you on about, lad? I said, mate, I've got to go and deal with it. So I've sort of jumped in the motor, flew round to the house, jumped out of the motor, ready to do whatever it is I was prepared to do. And Jermaine was there on his own. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing here, Jermaine? Like, what the fuck? I said, how do you know about this address? He said, your Anthony brought me here once, man. It's the only address I've got for you. Our mate needs to speak to you. So I said, our mate who? So he said, Dale. I said, what the fuck does he want to see me for? Do you know what I mean? And I said, what does he want to see me for? He said, oh, mate, he's had murders in fucking Manchester. He needs to get out of the country. I said, mate, do you know what? I'm not in all that no more. Yeah, I can't be bothered with all the bollocks. Get him to go and see Lee or Dave, right? No, Marv, he can't see no one. He don't trust no one in Manchester. You know what Manchester's like. A couple of weeks later, I had a business appointment, a family sort of gathering in Herne Bay with my friend Sam and his family. And basically, Sam's brother was leaving, joining the armed forces, and he was going away to Afghanistan, I believe. They was having a family farewell get-together to wish him well and send him on his way. So that was the 19th. I can't remember which month, but it was the 19th. I remember the day. So the 19th of this month was supposed to be down there. So I said, look, I'm going down to Herne Bay on the 19th of this month. If you want to see me, get him to come down there. If it's that important, he'll come down now. So I just sort of forgot about it. I told him where to meet me. I goes down to Herne Bay on the 19th. Sam and his family are up on the beach playing with his daughter. The gathering's not till 3 in the afternoon or something like that. I'm down there early. So I thought, let me go for a little walk along the beach, because it's like a beach village, fishing village, an old fishing village, but it's like a resort now. So I goes out onto the beach. I'm walking up to see if I can see Sam and them. As I've come out of the house and turned left, I've seen Jermaine, Wilkie and Dale. And I was like, what the fuck? And I just sort of, at first it was shock. I thought, how the fuck are them lot here? And I thought, shit, I told them to come. Do you know what I mean? I thought, rah. So I walked out, what's happening, chaps? So they're like, Marv, what's happening? So I said, oh, fuck. I said, what the fuck? Like, what are you up to? So, Marv, you heard what's happened? I was like, no. He said, like, in Manchester? I was like, no, why, what's happening? He said, well, this fella and like, this dad and this son, I've had murders of them, something happened, and basically I've ended up shooting a couple of people and fucking hand grenaded them. So when I've heard hand grenade, I thought, what? What the fuck? I said, you know what, mate? I ain't being funny. I said, but you can't really be round me, you know. You're going to get me nicked, mate. I said, I said, fuck it, come round here. So I walked round to Sam's house, gone in Sam's house. I was just sort of letting them know, look, no disrespect, yeah, but you threw hand grenades. How many hand grenades you threw? He said 2 or 3. I was like, fuck. Do you know what? You are fucked. Up shit creek without a paddle, mate. I said, you're a terrorist and you're fucked. I said, the best thing for you to do is go and hand yourself in. So like, no, we're not handing ourselves in. We want to get out of the country, we want to go here, we want to go there. So I said, look, you know what, to be fair, there's nothing I can do for you. I'm out of that other game. I'm not in it. And for me to get you out of the country, I've got to go back to Spain. I've got to beg someone to put you on a bit of transport. And it's not going to happen. I said, me personally, yeah, I think the best thing you can do so you can actually get out of prison again is go and hand yourself in and just sort of put it on someone else for throwing the hand grenades, but it wasn't you. Do you know what I'm saying? So like, fuck, man. So like, find someone that's not in the country, or find some. I tried to give him some advice so he could go and hand himself in, and he weren't having it. I convinced them to let little Jermaine Ward come with me and go and hand himself in. And that was the last time I saw him. I've gone about my business. I've took Jermaine with me. I've gone and hand Jermaine, I'll give him the money, get on a train, go and hand himself in up north. A couple of weeks after that, I think Dale's turned up back at the house where I took him, looking for me. My mate's dad hadn't said he hadn't seen me. He can't get hold of me, blah, 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 all this normal bollocks. And then he's left. But what he'd done, like an absolute no good cunt, was take my mate's dad's phone off the windowsill. He just took it. That was the phone that you see him on the phone when he handed himself in. So then basically when he's handed himself in, my mate's dad had bought credit for that phone, done things on the phone, and bam. So they've gone to my mate's dad, and that was the last time I've ever had anything to do with Dale or had any conversations or any sort of interactive with him. And I never even had any interactive with him. It was the fact that his actions dragged me into a load of bollocks that I got exonerated from in the end. But that was my last dealings with Dale Cregan. For him to go and hand himself in, knowing that the police are going to go through your phone. They're going to go through your phone. Everyone knows the police go through your phone when you get nicked. Why would you go and hand the phone in that you know you took from my mate's ass? I ain't really got a nice sort of comment to say about Dale. You know, what he done was atrocious. The crimes that he got arrested for was pointless and meaningless. He lost a lot of respect from me. The little bit he did have, it gone after he shot them 2 defenceless women. Like, that was just something I could never get my head around. Like, don't get me wrong, if you're on a bit of work and armed old Bill turn up and there's a shootout and someone gets hurt in the middle, then you can understand that. But for actually ringing police to report a burglary, and when you see 2 female officers turn up, surely you'd have a different sort of outcome. Surely you'd think of another Fanny. Like, surely you wouldn't just walk out the house and just shoot them, I don't know how many times, and then fucking throw a hand grenade on them. Like, I just can't, you can't, no words can describe that act, and no words can sort of explain why do something like that. And all the excuses I've heard are fucking pathetic. Like, the reason I heard he done it was because the police took his son from him because he said it was too dangerous for his son to live in the house where he was registered or known, because of retaliation from the other people that he'd shot dead and hand grenaded, like, which is normal for the social services to do. And he used that as an excuse to kill 2 unarmed police officers, females at that. So for that alone, took him out of my book of anything. So to me, that man doesn't exist. He is a scumbag, as far as scumbags, or as big or as dirty as scumbags can be. He's the one at the top of the list for me, you know. And as being a criminal, he isn't a criminal. He doesn't represent any criminals in any way, shape or form. In fact, he's where he is in the mental hospital now because he has mental health issues. And that's as much as I'd like to say about Dale Cregan. So anything I say isn't nice, and I don't want to sound like I'm holding feelings, but he's getting what he deserves, mate. And he's doing what he deserves, and he's going to end up where he deserves. So nothing I say or insinuate now is going to change anything, but the fact that he's going to die in prison as a miserable old man with no one around him, not even his kids. I can't forgive him for anything because he's done nothing to me. There's nothing for me. I can't forgive him for someone else's act or retribution or problem or situation. I can only forgive someone for something they do to me. He's never done nothing to me. I do believe that, yeah, it was just because I wouldn't help him. Do you know what I mean? And I forgive him for that because now he's got the retribution of what he deserves. I don't need to do nothing for him. Like Dave Campbell, he had me over 1.6 million quid. He's dead now. I don't have anything to do with his death because he died of a heart attack. Do you understand? So the energy will take its course and it will give everybody what they deserve, exactly when they deserve it and when they own it. And that's it, simple.